thing I can see is my own silhouette. I'm getting stronger, step by step. The clock is ticking, but there's no time for regrets. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Yeah, we are heroes tonight.
Might help if I have the right overlay on. There we go. That's a bit better for you guys. Welcome back to Let's Talk Premier League. We are here for Ref's View, as always, talking all of the decisions that happened over the weekend, including Mr. Ronaldo jumping around like a salmon. Literally, I mean, I'm going to talk a bit more about this because I'm going to talk about what he does, which is part of the reason why he's not going to get many penalties. And there is logic behind the reasoning, so stay tuned for that. It is coming up quite soon. DC says Messi is better. Kenny says I'm ill 2 days before the bloody United game, for fuck's sake. Big up Ravi. I beg well enough to go. Yeah, I hear all of that. But let's get straight into it because I'm a busy man. Don't forget tonight, 6 p.m. on the First XI, I'll be live with Aaron and Charlie for the EFL show. Then back here at 8 p.m. for the Liverpool show. I also got the MLS completely wrong because New York Red Bulls versus New York City was this morning. Luckily, they're playing again over the weekend, so it ain't going to be too much to sort it all out. So obviously, we'll do a watch on for that one. Kenny says we should have had 2 pens. Kenny is a United fan, and I wholeheartedly disagree with you. Maybe 1 at a push, 2 not a freaking chance. Like I know Phil 30 was dragging down, but Zuma shouldn't follow through like that. Well, that's actually ironically a penalty you probably should have got, but we'll get into it. So let's look at the Premier League over the weekend. So I want to start with Leeds. I want to start with Leeds versus Newcastle. And this tackle on Dan James from Joe Willock. Now, Dan James is obviously a quick guy, but Joe Willock he's not even attempted to get the ball here. He's just stood in front of Dan James, and that tackle, he's basically just body checked him to the floor. For me, that is a stonewall penalty every single minute of the day. There is a better image. If I grab, actually no, there isn't a better image. That is, I've watched the video anyway, and if you haven't followed this Twitter account before, he's really good. Let me go get it quickly for you guys. So it's called @PoorEPL Referees, a really good Twitter account. Really good Twitter account. So yeah, make sure you give them a follow. It's not even one. I've never spoken to them. Not one by myself or anyone from the channel, but just a really good Twitter account that gives all the decisions and summarizes it perfectly. But in terms of this one, this is a body check. It's a body check, and ultimately that is a penalty every minute of the day, and you can't really argue against it because at the end of the day, it's simple. He doesn't get the ball. He gets 100% of Dan James. That's a penalty in any walk of life. However you want to look at it, that's a penalty. Can't really argue that, and there's no point really devolving into it too long because at the end of the day, it's a stonewall penalty, and I really don't understand how it was given. But moving on, this one is on the handball for Brighton. Now, I love Brighton as much as the next person. Well, I'm sure there's people who dislike Brighton, but I love Brighton. This is not a penalty. As you can clearly see, Mupé is literally holding Vestergaard's arm. Right? He's literally holding his arm. It's unfathomable to me how this is given as a handball. Obviously, as we know, the ball comes in and hits his hand. How that's given, I will never know. Never know in my life, because as you can see, he is clearly holding him. Clearly, he's not even making it discreet. He's not even like he's holding onto his shirt. He's full blown grabbed his arm, right? That you can clearly see as stonewall. That is as stonewall as you'll get. I mean, in terms of not being given, that's what I mean. Not in terms of stonewall penalty is not to be given, because that shouldn't be given at all. I mean, you can just see him holding his arm. The fuck do you give that? Right? I've always said, and I will continue to say, referees do my fucking head in, because there's a lack of consistency within the EPL. We won't even get into the EFL because we'll be here for years, right? I could do a 5-hour show on every decision in the EFL and I'd still be missing stuff. So ultimately, this is all Premier League, but there's still a massive inconsistency from within the Premier League, and it does need fixing. It needs fixing bloody soon, because it does ruin the game. I mean, this has stopped Leicester from, getting the points that maybe they might need. Let's say they're out of the top 4 by 2 points, or a point, and this gets them into the top 4. This is a thing we need to look at. Although Leicester at the moment haven't started great, but that's a discussion for another show. In terms of this one, it's never a penalty. Never on your never ever is that a penalty for handball. Anyway, it does hit Vestergaard's arm, but he has been dragged left, right, and centre by Neil Maupay. But moving on, this one from the Etihad. For me, as much as I may not like City, this is never a penalty. Now, I know he comes across him, but Armstrong is clearly falling to the floor way before the contact's even made. Before Kyle Walker's even got his leg across him, that he's already fallen, right? You cannot give a penalty if the guy's already fallen, right? Regardless of what Walker does. And for me, Walker doesn't make enough contact for it to be a penalty. Armstrong is falling to the floor already, and ultimately that has led VAR to overturn this, and that is a clear and obvious error, and I must stress that it is clear and obvious, because it's not a penalty. It's certainly not a red card. I really don't understand why it was even given as a red card. The penalty bit, okay, obviously we all know the referee, John Moss, isn't the greatest referee in the world. I thought he was also meant to be retiring, or was that someone else? That might have been someone else, actually. But basically, he's gone in front of him, but Armstrong's already on the floor by the time that contact's even made. I really don't understand this decision, and this is why we like VAR, and this is why VAR was brought in to the Premier League, was because it was stopping decisions like these. It was stopping the clear decisions that, if we didn't have VAR, that's giving us a penalty. Kyle Walker sent off and Southampton win 1-0. Right? That could potentially, and again, I'm not here to make the decision on if I like City or not. I'm here to act as an unbiased official. Essentially, that is my job on here. This is clearly an obvious error, and shouldn't be given as a penalty. You've seen the video of all of these, I presume not. Of course I have. I'm not an idiot. Imagine having a sub on Bruno and Greenwood and still not beating our B team. Oh, United had our B team. But ultimately on that one, and I will just briefly touch on this, Greenwood and Bruno should have both been put on after 60 minutes. Give them 30 minutes to actually impact the game. As you saw straight away, the minute Greenwood came on, United looked a bit more dangerous. The minute Bruno came on, they looked a bit more dangerous. So ultimately, Ollie should have made those decisions at 60 minutes maximum. But look at Thomas Tuchel, right? Against Spurs was being overrun in the midfield, made changes at halftime, won the match. Did the same against Villa in the Carabao Cup. So ultimately, Ollie needs to be more ruthless with his decision making. Martial clearly looked disinterested yesterday. Matter, can someone explain what Matter even was doing? So ultimately, those decisions they will cost Ollie his job, and ultimately that's football. He needs to be braver with his decision making, because at the end of the day, them boys are costing him his job. Matter is costing him his job. He may try, but he definitely wasn't good enough, and Martial isn't even trying. So these are things that I think Ollie needs to look at, and he needs to be braver. He needs to go, look, after 45 minutes, clearly Martial, and he showed moments, but moments aren't good enough to win you games. It's about that consistency over 90 minutes. Both Greenwood and Bruno provides that consistency over 90 minutes. And ultimately that is what is going to cost Ollie his job, I think. But no, he has to be more ruthless. He has to make these decisions earlier. Bringing Bruno on with 19 or 18 minutes of a game to go is simply just not enough time for Bruno to impact the game. So yeah, I ultimately, as I say, Ollie's going to have his job cost because he's trusting the wrong people. Make these changes at half-time. Be braver. If he was to make tactical changes at half-time, United fans would be a lot happier with him. A lot happier. Obviously you'd still have some that moan, but the majority of the United fan base would be happier because you can see your manager is being proactive. And that's the thing. To be fair, we had 29 shots and couldn't finish. We needed Greenwood and Bruno on earlier. I agree. Bruno earlier. Both of them earlier. Both of them made impacts as they came on. Matt has such a good footballing brain, but he has no pace. That's the reason he's not going to be that good for us anymore. I think he should have retired last season after scoring the winner on the final day. Well, I don't think he should retire. No, just go to a slower league, La Liga. Maybe go back to La Liga with one of the smaller clubs. He can still have an impact in the game. I make no mistake of that. He can still impact the game, even at his age and even at his pace. Just at Manchester United, he is not going to have that same impact anymore because guess what? Football's changed, and United, you need a few younger players with legs. United play a goalkeeper and can't score. Play against a good goalkeeper and can't score. No, he's retiring at the end of the season. Is he retiring at the end of this season? I still think he could. I still think he can get another payday. MLS, La Liga, Serie A. I think all of these places, Juan Mata would do a great job. I just think the Premier League is probably not the league for him anymore. Look, Prime Mata, of course, one of the best cams in the world, or whatever you want to put him as. I think right now he's obviously lacking from a bit of pace due to getting on a bit. So look, for me, MLS, Serie A, La Liga, we're a smaller club in La Liga, in AC Milan or Juventus even, in Serie A, I think he'd do a good job there. Or MLS and just earn a shit ton of money from doing it. And look, ultimately, that's probably what I'd do is probably go, who's giving me the most money? Oh, America? Fuck it, I'll go there for a few years. That's what I would do. But back to these decisions. There was another one from the Man City game. It was offside, and this is as clear as you'll get. I don't really. I can put it in bigger screen for you because obviously you can't really see it. But I mean, that's just offside. You can see his foot is over the line. Even if you were to match the lines together, his foot's still offside. So that's a clear offside, and ultimately, well done to VAR. They've got another decision right. So in the City game, the City game shows why VAR is so important and why, if it's used correctly and used by the right people and not an absolute idiot, then you'll have a better caliber of VAR refereeing and decision making. Also, I also want to say, actually, I'll address that at the end. There's a break, not a break, but in terms of a record-breaking thing that's happening in the Premier League this weekend. So do keep your eyes out for that. So I'm specifically proud of this referee. I've watched him a lot of the times, and I've watched him a few times. I've watched him. He's done a couple of championship. He's actually Australian, so I'll get to that in a moment. Big up to Wolf in the chat. So many poor decisions over last weekend. Right, so moving on to the next decision, and it is time to look at Cristiano Ronaldo. Now, I haven't bothered getting all of the images for all of the times that he jumped onto the floor, as I say, I would be here for years. So this specific one, penalty, right? That as much as people won't like it, penalty. Zuma clearly is pushing Ronaldo from the back, then sort of dives in and doesn't even get contact of the ball. So that's a penalty. All right, that's fine. I don't mind giving you that one. The first one, go fuck yourselves. genuinely go fuck yourselves, United fans. Grow up. There is no way that is a penalty. Cristiano is looking for that penalty. And here is why Manchester United will not get many penalties under Cristiano Ronaldo. Because with Cristiano Ronaldo, there's always now going to be an element to, because we've seen him, jumping onto the floor a fair few times now. There's now going to be an element planted in a referee's head. Is he dived? Has he dived? Is he diving? And you're going to, and as a referee, subconsciously, and again, I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying that having that subconscious is right, but it is a human reaction. I don't think Cristiano Ronaldo will get many penalties ultimately because he keeps diving, right? Because he keeps falling to the floor and looking for penalties. Ronaldo will not be given many penalties. And now you have to ask, well, why won't United get penalties? Well, because if they think Ronaldo's diving, that then plants into their head, who else is diving at in the United team? Now, I'm not saying that all of them dive. What I am saying is that the continuation of diving from Ronaldo is going to mean that referees don't give penalties to United. And again, I'm not saying this is right, because every decision should be dealt with on an individual basis in that decision alone. But you cannot help yourself as a referee. I've had it myself where I've refereed one team towards the start of the season. They've either been diving or they've been quite aggressive, and I've banded out a few yellow cards. Then when I come to referee them later on in that season, I am subconsciously thinking, what happened in the last game? Oh yes, they kept diving. Then I'm thinking I need to double think my decisions. When a player goes down, I need to be thinking, has he dived? And if I'm not 100% sure if he hasn't dived, I won't give it. Because if I don't think it's a penalty, or there's even an ounce of suspicion that he has dived, and don't forget the level I was refereeing, most of the time I got given club linesmen, and you don't even have your own linesman, and half the time they're even shit. So you're having to run the line and ref the match at the same time. If you were lucky, they would supply proper officials from the club, right? So as in a club referee. Or a club official that would run the line, and he'll be a fully FA certified referee. That actually helps you, believe it or not, that helps you a million miles. But even then, you still have to be a little bit wary of trusting them, because they are linked with a club. Ultimately, when you get a cup final, though, you get three referees and a fourth official, and you're having a great time, and you can completely trust. You've got a microphone, the lot, and it's actually very fucking helpful, believe it or not. Which makes me wonder how if us amateur referees or referees that did referee at grassroots, obviously I did progress a nice amount. But if we're able to do it, and I think I got most of my decisions right, of course I'll get the occasional one wrong, because again, I'm only human, and I didn't get the luxury of having two referees, a fourth official, and VAR. Trust me, if I had two linos, a fourth official, and VAR, I wouldn't make a mistake in football. But ultimately, because it's that easy, especially when you get a look at the replay, right? Naturally, what you got. One referee, two linesmen, a fourth official, one referee in VAR, an assistant VAR referee, and you get a TV monitor that you can go look at. There's still decisions being made wrong. Unfathomable. Catch you in a bit, Wolf. Catch you in a bit. I hope you have a good day. The rest did a meeting about the Kufal pen, and they said it should have been one. I wouldn't have given it. I would have given Zuma's, but I wouldn't have given the Kufal one. Under Ronaldo now, he's not our manager. Well, no, I meant when Ronaldo's playing and when Ronaldo gets and dives to the floor, he won't get a penalty, because it's subconsciously what a referee is thinking. And to be fair, he is basically a manager anyway. Although should have been on the bench yesterday, but I'm just saying. Ronaldo keeps diving, so Salah has never dived before now. Again, yes, he has, which is again why Liverpool don't get too many decisions. It's why you don't get too many penalties. That's basically how that is, really. I wish I could be more specific, but neither of you will get decisions, and soon you'll both be crying. Have you got any videos of you reffing a game? I have not. I used to on my old computer, I think, and then I didn't bother transferring them over. But I did have them. Yeah, I did. But I still have my kit, to be fair. Still have my refs kit. Still got my cards, still got my whistle. And I may go back to refereeing, but to be fair, ultimately I'm taking a sabbatical from it, which is the sabbatical has been 2 years now. Mainly because in grassroots, parents and fans, there's not enough protection for referees in grassroots. And ultimately safety is a big thing. And when you're a larger than life character like myself, who won't necessarily take the bullshit that is given to you, ultimately safety is a thing. And the fact that that happens, it did make me question it. So taking a break from that for the moment, until they can start guaranteeing safety a bit more, giving a bit more training, I feel. Should have said with Ronaldo now. Well, under Ronaldo, with Ronaldo, same fucking thing. How fit do you have to be to referee? Well, it depends on how good you want to referee. You can be a fat bastard. Now, I am chunky. I'm a very, 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 very chunky, but I'm incredibly fit in terms of I could referee a game for 90 minutes, running up and down the pitch, keeping up with play quite easily. Because, you know, it's a bit of running. And once you get used to it, once you continue refereeing for 90 minutes, you build up your stamina. So these are all things that, you know, you pay attention of. So, yeah, you for me, you have to be fit to referee. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be slim. There's a massive difference between being fit and slim, right? You don't have to be slim. You just have to be fit enough to keep up with play. I have seen, and I've had it when I played football when I was a bit younger as well, where we'd have a referee and he'd just stand on the halfway line. And ultimately, that's what got me into refereeing, because I was like, fuck me, how shit is he? Just stood on the halfway line, or he would circle the centre circle essentially for the whole game. And that for me really sort of got on my nerves. That's what got me into refereeing myself. But yeah, it's one of them. It's one of them, really. But yeah, you have to be fit. You have to be fit, but you also have to be fit mentally, in terms of you have to make decisions quickly, and you don't get a second chance. Right? In lower league football, you don't get that second chance. Right? If I was to make it, let's say I'm refereeing Chelsea City this weekend, I don't get the opportunity to redo my decision. Well, I do. That's what I mean. I would get the chance to redo my decision. If I was refereeing Plymouth Argyle versus Doncaster, which is actually not even possible on every level, considering you can't referee a team who you support, I wouldn't be able to redo my decisions. You have to make the decision there and then stick with it. Because the thing is, if you start going, oh, actually, I think I got that wrong, I'm going to overturn it, players are going to literally go for you, and every decision you make, they're going to try and overturn it. So the best thing to do is, if you make a decision and you get it wrong, stick with it. Just stick with it, because it saves you so much aggro. When I once refereed, I gave a pen, and after about 20 seconds of listening to players going mad, and I kept sort of, as you referee, you keep rethinking what you've just seen. And I the more and more I thought about it, I was like, that's not a penalty. I was like, fuck. I stuck with it though, because ultimately, if you don't, the players are going to try and get every decision overturned. It will make your job so much more harder. So even if you make a mistake at that level, go with it. Continue to go with it, because if you don't, your decision, your job just got so much harder. In the Premier League, completely different, because if you make a mistake, you've always got VAR to help you out. And you can always go back to the monitor to have a look at and just be like, well, I looked at the monitor, I looked at the video. If you're overturning it because you're thinking, worst thing you could do. Now, was non-league ref one of the hardest bunch of leagues to ref? Respect, thank you. The Argyle podcast has done great again. Love to see it. Some of the hardest ones I meant. The referee in our game was shocking. Was absolutely shocking. Yeah, it was definitely a penalty. Have you refed any finals? I've refed County Cup finals. So County Cup is basically a final of Devon. So it was all the teams in Devon. I've refereed 2 finals, and I've run the line for 2, and I've done full official duty for 1. So I've been in 5 finals. So I wasn't too shabby at my job. But yeah, a really enjoyable experience. I would recommend if you do like the idea of being a referee and you're passionate about it, I would recommend doing it. But I will warn you now, the support you get isn't necessarily the best support in the world, and that's not, me downplaying the Devon FA or any of the FAs. They do a good job in terms of what they do, but ultimately there's still not enough support out there. But yeah, I've done 2, ref 2, run the line twice, and done 4 official for 1, which was 4 official 1 was fun. I was basically just stood in between 2 dugouts, making sure you didn't kill each other. Best bit is one of the finals I refereed was 2 rivals, which was a brilliant. It was a little derby in the final, which was fun. If it was at home against Pompey, we would have 100% got that penalty. As I say, crowds influence it. I always dive in games I play in Sunday League, and I always get pens. A tricky scream, that wouldn't work with me. That would not work with me at all. But moving on to this one, but same one, just different image. Yeah, I'd have given that as a penalty. Kufau, not a chance. This one, the Stonewall handball, you can't even argue with it. I can't even argue with it. How are you arguing? How anyone argues with it? Yeah, okay, but distance between Yarmolenko and Shaw is very minimal. But not meaning to be rude or anything, but it's a really clear penalty. Really, really clear. It's clearly struck his arm, his hand even. And that's a penalty. How that wouldn't be given, I don't know. But that's a penalty. And you won't get a clearer penalty than that all day long. Do you think it's right to give every referee who refs a final a medal? Yeah, I do. Yeah. And the simple reason is they've earned it, really. For a player playing in a cup final is one of the best feelings ever. I can imagine, being one of the best teams out there in a cup final. So for United being one of the best teams in the Europa League last season, they got to a final, and you should have immense proudness on that. Chelsea being in the Champions League final, saying they're best team in Europe. There's going to be an immense amount of pride with that. It's the same with the referees. So if let's say I was consistently refereeing in the Premier League, and I was refereeing to a very high standard, I very rarely got mistakes wrong. I was very good at handling the players, the occasions. Let's say I'd done Manchester derbies, Northwest derbies, London derbies, like a lot. And through every single game I've done, I've never made a mistake. There's an immense amount of respect to my name. And then we don't get an English guy let's say we don't get an English team in the final of the Champions League, and I get called up to that final. There's an immense amount of pride with that, because what you're being classed at is one of the best officials in Europe. If you get a World Cup, which for England, very high chance because we're never in a final, and I got picked to referee a World Cup final, there's an immense amount of pride with that, going with that, and I think you should reward the referees with a medal because they've done so well to get there. A lot of referees start right from the bottom, so a lot of referees have paid for their own travel, refereed either Sunday League or even kids. You know, when they referee under 16s, under 17s, they're also equally as important to be refereed correctly because they're teaching the young players how to play. I refereed under 12s once. I sent off a lad, no joke, sent him off apparently. Because I was a referee for about 5 years before I took a little break. I met him again when he must have been about 17, and completely changed because as when he was 12, he was going into tackles, basically trying to 2-foot people. He was such an angry player. I then referee him when he's 17. He's grown up, much more mature, and he remembered me straight away. He remembered me, and I took me a little while to remember who the hell he was. But once I found out that I'd sent him off when he was 12, I remembered him quite well, and it's good. So I'm also saying that when you referee the younger lads as well as refereeing the adults and Sunday League and the Football League and all of that, yeah, I think it's really important that they're also ref to a high standard and that you're consistent. But obviously, you're a lot calmer, you're a lot nicer when they're 12 compared to when you're telling off a grown man. But in terms of your question, 100%, I completely agree. I agree they should get a medal because there's an immense amount of pride about that. They're also one of the best referees, and it really does give you a little bit of a lift. So that's a long-worded answer to your question. They're just going a bit mad. Carabao Cup does not matter more than the league. No, bro, did you say to me that the EFL show predictions in the chat for league games? Did you say that I'll be doing Viewers League table? And if so, will you add that in, mate, tonight? It won't be tonight, but I will look at doing that. I think I'll work out how we're going to do it and all that. I haven't got time ultimately to do it tonight, but we will be looking at doing that. Kenny, I don't think it matters what trophy you win. Win one. It's very simple. And that's it, really. That is it in terms of decisions I wanted to talk about. If there's any that I've missed, I do obviously wholeheartedly apologize because that wasn't the intention. But yeah, I think you know, sometimes you'll miss some. I'm not. There was actually one for Norwich, Watford. I haven't got the picture of it, but the Norwich players just absolutely barged into by the Watford player, and you could give that as a pen. That could have arguably been a pen. The Lingard one, I from last night, I wouldn't be giving that. I wouldn't be giving that. Not enough. There's not enough. There's not enough in it for me to do that. So yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's just one of them, really. Just one of them. But if you've got any questions, then do put them in the chat. I'll answer a few questions you've got for 5-10 minutes before we wrap up. Liam says, I'll go preview tomorrow, bro. I'm free to do it tomorrow if you are. Yeah, I'm just waiting on Aaron, obviously being Donny fan. I would like to get him on as well. But I will work all of that out, and I will message you later once I've spoken to Aaron. I'll be doing a preview on his channel as well via Zoom, which I've never used Zoom before. So we'll see how that. There was one for Burnley, Arsenal, and for Brighton. One more. Right. So the Brighton Leicester, I don't know what you're on about because I didn't see the game. Now the Burnley one, the Burnley Arsenal one, I do know the one you're on about. Because I actually watched that over a few times. That's the Ben White one, isn't it, Kenny? I presume that's the only one you're really talking about. No way is that a penalty. Ramsdale has clearly made contact with the ball before the player. And Anthony Taylor was absolutely right to overturn his decision after looking at the monitor again. And I understand Burnley's frustrations, but those are the rules. Very simple. Very simple. He's clearly made that decision. What about the suit check pen shout? Lanzi, if I remember correctly, the one you're on about, apparently he was offside. I don't know. In terms of that decision, if he wasn't offside, stonewall penalty, you can't argue with it. If he was offside, obviously it's not a penalty then. I don't know, but you'll know if it's a penalty or not. Basically, Harvey Barnes didn't stand in front of Sanchez, got penalised for doing that for Leicester's 2 disallowed goals. I can't make a view on it, can I? If I haven't seen it, I can't make a viewpoint on it. You can word it however you want, and you can be the best storyteller in the world. I can't make a decision unless I visually see the incident. Standard, I'm sure you'd appreciate. But yeah, we're gonna wrap it up there. It's been a great show. As I said, I'm back with the Liverpool boys at 8 p.m. But if you do miss me that much and you want to see my beautiful face and hear my beautiful voice, then I will be on the First XI at 6:30, where you can check me out there. I'll be with Aaron and Charlie, and all of that lovely stuff. Then back here with the Liverpool show at 8 p.m. Tomorrow, we have got the Chelsea show at 6 p.m., the United show at 10 p.m. We're also going to be trying to fit in an Argyle Doncaster preview. I have no idea what time yet. I'm waiting on Aaron. I can't really give an estimate until Aaron gives me the times that he's available, so I don't know. All I can tell you is it definitely won't be 6 p.m., definitely won't be 10 p.m., definitely won't be 4 o'clock, so all three. So ultimately, I've narrowed it down there, estimate it between something like that, because that's my schedule just won't allow that. This weekend, quality watch-alongs. Got 2 for you on Saturday, or 3 actually, essentially. We've got F1 qualifying at 12:45, Brentford Liverpool at 5:15. Then on Sunday, the Formula 1 race from Russia at 12:45, Spurs Arsenal North London Derby at 4:15, and Fan Cam's making a second appearance at 10 p.m. So do check us out on all of them. Before you go, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you are new to the channel as well. Check out our socials: Twitter, Let's Talk EPL, Instagram, Let's Talk EPL_, and on TikTok at Let's Talk Premier League. If you want to find me on Twitter, my personal Twitter is Niall_PAFC. You'll find me easily there. I'm always tweeting if I'm going on a channel, which is normally only the First XI. And if you want to see me tweeting about God knows what and play slagging United off or City off or bold for Diola, then yeah, follow my Twitter, and I will normally follow back probably if I like you. But until then, thanks for watching, guys, and don't forget to stay safe. Have a good one, and peace out.